Water, tides. Tides. Tides are the periodic rise and fall of the ocean waters. The highest level that the ocean water rises to is called high tide. The lowest level that the ocean water falls to is called low tide. Tides happen because of the gravitational pull of the moon, gravitational pull of the sun, the rotation of the earth. The difference in the height of the water surface between the high and low tides is the tidal range. In fact, the Bay of Fundy, a V-shaped Canadian inlet in Nova Scotia, has the greatest tidal range, known up to 50 feet. The sun and moon pull on the earth, the water, even you. But gravitational attraction depends on distance and mass. For example, you have very little mass and you are very close to the earth, so the sun and moon can't just yank you off the planet. The sun is extremely massive, but it is almost 150 million kilometers away from us. The moon is only 384,400 kilometers away from us. The moon is therefore 400 times closer to the earth than the sun is. Though it's smaller, it's a lot closer. So the effect of the moon on our oceans is twice as strong as the sun's, though the sun is a lot bigger. The moon pulls the water and the earth. The water is a fluid body and can move. Moreover, the oceans of the world are connected, so you can actually think of it as one large ocean. The water on the side that faces the moon moves a little towards the moon. This results in high tide on the part of the earth that is facing the moon. When the water body is pulled to one side, the balance of the earth gets disturbed. So the water on the exact opposite side also bulges out to balance the bulge on the side of the moon. That is why two areas on Earth have high tide at the same time. So there is high tide at the places that are facing the moon and also that are exactly opposite the moon. Many people think that centrifugal force is responsible for tides, but it is very weak compared to gravitational force, and so we need not consider it at all. When the moon, earth and sun fall in a straight line, we call it syzygy. This can happen in two ways, like this or even like this. We know that high tides happen because of the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. If the gravity of the sun and moon is acting together, we get the highest high tide and the lowest low tide. This is called spring tide. This can happen in any of the syzygy positions. Extra high and low tide or spring tide can happen like this when the sun, moon and earth are in a straight line. This is also a new moon day. Spring tide can even happen like this. The sun, moon and earth are still in a straight line. This is also a full moon day. So when does spring tide happen? Spring tide happens when the sun, moon and earth are in a straight line. This happens at the time of the new moon day or the full moon. So spring tide happens twice a month. The path of the moon around the earth is not a perfect circle. The point when the moon is closest to the earth is called perigee. The point when the moon is farthest from the earth is called apogee. If the moon is at perigee, the closest it approaches Earth in its orbit, The tides are especially high and low. Why so? You already know. We know that high tides happen because of the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. If the gravity of the sun and moon act in different directions, we get the lowest high tide and the highest low tide. This is called neap tide. Neap tide happens when the sun and moon are at right angles with respect to the earth. So when the sun and moon are at right angles with respect to the earth, we get neap tide. When this happens, their gravitational pulls fight each other. Because of this, we notice a smaller difference between high and low tides. Think and discuss. What is a tide? How are high tide and low tide caused? What is a spring tide? Explain how and why it is caused. What is a neap tide? Explain how and why it is caused. Tides are very useful to humans. At high tides, the water level is raised, so the ships can arrive at the harbor more easily. Fish come closer to the shores during high tides, so the fishermen are able to catch plenty of fish during the high tide. Tidal energy is used for electricity generation. Think and discuss. Mention any two uses of tides.